Thank you so much. If I could steal or distort some words from Shakespeare, I come not to praise you, but to kiss your fingers. And this is what I mean. Beethoven had an abusive father named Johann von Beethoven, who realized he had a very talented little boy there. And a career in the arts back in the 1770s was kind of a dicey proposition. There were a few superstars, but it was risky, and of course, everything has changed since 1770, right? So Beethoven's father stood over him with a stick as he practiced hour after hour and whacked him on the fingers every time he made a mistake. And we don't have corporal punishment anymore, but the stick whacking the fingers is still a virtual part of a lot of our educational and economic and career systems in our world. One of the things that I get to do in my line of work is go to conservatories and music departments and work with students who are classically trained musicians who may be immensely talented but may never have played without a piece of paper in front of them, or the virtual piece of paper of a jazz chart or some kind of predefined plan. So one day I was in an institution like this. It was a really wonderful, elegant school of music in New York City. And the students were really far better musicians than I will ever be. And this particular group of students played a couple of improvisations that were absolutely mind-blowing, just beautifully organized, beautifully emotional, connected, people listening to each other. And then they played a third piece, and that one was kind of off. And you could see the guilt, and the faces were kind of drawn, and people felt that they had screwed up, as though you can screw up. I mean, the whole definition of a mistake in improvisation is a little bit hard to define, but people still recognize when something works and when it doesn't work. And I suddenly realized that the ghost of Beethoven's father was in that room, whacking those students on the fingertips for making a mistake. So I thought of having them do finger-kissing exercises. And just walking around the studio, kissing all their fingers, including the thumbs. You can do it right here. You could do it anytime. It's very simple. And the interesting thing is that in that context of a group of students improvising together, playing a short piece, and then reflecting back on what they did, nobody needed to shake a baton at them or wag their finger and say, you made a mistake. Everybody knows whether they liked what they did and why they liked it and what was interesting and what wasn't interesting. And they were able to talk about it, and then they played another piece which was absolutely wonderful and which reflected what had come before. Now, since we're in a very dignified place here, an academic institution and a solemn occasion, I thought I'd mention not only finger kissing, but toddling. Another thing that we can do anytime and in any place. When a child learns to walk, when they learn to do any kind of skill, we don't yell at them for falling down because they knew they'd fall down. We trust that they know what they're doing. And we trust that there's some kind of a feedback happening. And out of that feedback comes growth and evolution. That's why improvisers or artists of any kind are able to make piece after piece after piece, and like some and not like others, and change and grow and evolve without anybody hitting their fingers. Everyone in this room is either sitting or standing, and the dancers and drummers that we just had were doing much more than that. Now, just try wiggling if you're seated or standing. Just try wiggling a little bit. You notice that if your torso wiggles a little bit over to the right, there are muscles on your left side that know to pull you back upright. And now that your torso wiggles over to the left, you've got muscles on the right side that know how to pull you back upright. This is called feedback. This is called cybernetics. This is called systems theory. It's the way living systems work. Or we drive a car, and we are continually doing little, even if we're driving down a straight road, we're doing little micro steering right and left and right and left. Now, if our whole system of nerves, muscles, bones, unconscious, all the skills that we developed when we were learning to drive, if that system were entirely conscious, we'd be constantly slapping ourselves in the face. Oh my God, you turned too far to the left, you gotta go right. Oh my God, you turned too far to the right, you gotta go left. So we would go insane very quickly if we were driving a car according to some of those old principles of pedagogy that are inherent in many of our systems. But instead, we're able to stand up, we're able to sit down, we're able to drive a car, we're able to paint, we're able to write, we're able to play music, and it's entirely through the natural systems of feedback by which we grow and evolve. Now, every single person in this room is an ex-toddler. So we all have an immense amount of experience being at this life stage of fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up. And that process, like the thermostat in this room that is constantly wiggling the temperature up and down around a certain value, that's the way living systems work. Nelson Mandela at some point said that he wanted to be judged not by what he accomplished, but by how many times he fell down and got up. And so life is one continuous process of evolution. Shunryu Suzuki, the great Zen master who founded San Francisco Zen Center, said that life is one continuous mistake. Miles Davis said, "Do not fear mistakes, there are none." And they were both saying the same thing. So we have an innate ability to gradually evolve. Now, among the finger-slapping, finger-whacking, finger-pointing activities that are endemic in our society, there is, as Beethoven experienced as a young man, the fear that you wouldn't be excellent and you wouldn't be able to become the next young Mozart and make a lot of money for your family. That's what Beethoven's father was hoping for there. What Beethoven's father probably was not hoping or expecting was that his son would become the great revolutionary who would democratize music, change the entire art and many other art forms by his example, and bring vast numbers of people into the world in such a way that you would perform music in a hall like this rather than for a tiny room full of aristocrats. And that happened through the continuous sense of freedom and evolution and development that was Beethoven's life. This event is called a graduation, and we think of that as meaning some kind of a discontinuity in lives, but lives are gradual. Lives are continuously changing. You are commencing something today, and in spite of whatever plans and contingencies you have for the next part of your life, you actually won't know until many, many years from now what is it that you are actually commencing. Looking back on it from many years, you'll have some idea what you will have commenced, but of course then you won't know what you'll be commencing at that point in your life. So life is one continuous evolution, one continuous surprise, one continuous active feedback. And just in the case of the improvisers who are able to listen to themselves, listen to each other, respond, and connect, you learn to have the joy, the trust, and the self-respect that comes from acting in this way, that comes from evolving, that comes from being able to kiss your fingers, to toddle, to exert the feedbacks right and left, up and down, this art form, that art form, that are going to appear in your lives. Because we live in a society, of course, where the arts are not terribly well recognized or well rewarded, but there never has been such a society. And we can go back and romanticize Renaissance Italy or Paris in the 1920s or something like that, but we're romanticizing something from a distance about which we've made a lot of generalizations. And we're not actually wanting to go back to Renaissance Italy and live among the plagues and the wars and the beheadings and Friar Savonarola and all the things that were happening then. So we're actually immensely fortunate to be here today, to be doing this together, to be in the unknown together, to have the joy, the trust, and the self-respect that goes with doing unknown and unknowable things, and to reward yourself for that, and to enjoy it. So thank you very, very much.